Hey there, so listen up. There's this rich sheriff who thought it'd be funny to give his daughter, who can't walk, to a rancher named Eli. But Eli? He saw something special in her, way beyond what her dad thought. Before I get into the juicy details, don't forget to hit that like button and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. It was super hot in Arizona, like the sun was pressing down on everything. The afternoon light made long shadows across the dry ranch, with just some scruffy bushes, fence posts, and far-off hills where the sky seemed to disappear. Eli Decker was by his fence, holding some prickly wire in one arm and rusty pliers in the other. He'd been fixing the north fence all morning, taking it slow, step by step. His left leg dragged a bit from an old war injury from Tennessee like 20 years ago. He never whined about it or anything else. Eli lived alone on his land for 7 years, with just his cows, a few horses, and 2 barn cats he didn't even name. Most days were quiet, and he liked it that way. After the war, and after a fire that took his wife and their unborn baby, he stopped looking for chatter or anything much. He just woke up, worked, ate beans from a pot, sat by the fire, slept on a cot by the window, and did it all again. When he heard a wagon, he didn't move right away, just stopped, pliers loose in his hand, head tilted toward the sound. It was the creak of wooden wheels and hooves on dry dirt. He waited until he saw a single wagon with 1 horse, moving slow, up the hill like it had no rush. Eli knew who it was before the wagon got close. It was Sheriff Mercer, sitting all stiff, always smirking like he knew something you didn't. He was a big guy with a gray mustache he kept too neat for this dusty place. He had power in town, but Eli didn't care much for town. He didn't owe them anything, and they left him alone. That was the deal. Eli put down the pliers slow and waited as the wagon stopped. Sheriff Mercer didn't get off right away. He pulled the reins, let the horse calm down, then leaned on his leg like he was about to put on a show. In the back of the wagon sat a woman, sitting up, wrapped in a light brown blanket, leaning against a crate. Her face was turned away, looking at the hills, her eyes hard to read in the sun's glare. Her hair was long reddish-brown, kind of messy at the ends. Her dress was beige, worn out in spots, torn near the shoulder, loose around her chest but tight at the waist. She wasn't hiding. Sheriff Mercer slapped the reins on his knee and grinned. "Thought I'd swing by," he said, loud enough to fill the quiet. "Figured you could use a friend." Eli didn't say anything. The sheriff nodded toward the wagon. "Clara, my daughter. You remember her?" Eli glanced at the girl, then back at the sheriff. He vaguely remembered her from years ago, riding through town with fancy gloves and clean boots. But that was before her accident, before she vanished from sight. The sheriff said a horse fell on her, like it was no big deal. Broke her back. Can't move her legs. Hasn't since she was 22. She's 24 now. Doctors say she'll never walk again. Eli didn't ask why he was hearing this. The sheriff stretched and cracked his neck. "Truth is, she's no use to me like this. Costs money. Nurses quit. And, well," he chuckled, "a guy like you could use a woman around. You're alone. She's alone. Makes sense, right?" Eli stayed quiet. He didn't look at Clara yet. He could feel her staring, though, cautious, like a cornered animal waiting for trouble. The sheriff climbed down, his boots hitting the dirt with a cocky thud. "No pressure. Just thought I'd do you both a favor." Eli looked at him, slow and calm. "You came all this way to hand me your daughter like she's cattle? She's fed, clothed, and still pretty, if you're into that." Eli's jaw tightened, then loosened. He stepped toward the wagon, his limp showing left leg stiff from the knee down. He looked at Clara for the first time. Her skin was pale but healthy. Her cheekbones were sharp, her lips full, her blue eyes fierce, meeting his with pride and quiet anger. He saw her jaw clench, her hands gripping tight in her lap. "You want to be here?" Eli asked softly, talking to her, not the sheriff. She blinked, then nodded once. Not excited, just sure. That was enough. Eli turned and walked to his barn. The sheriff laughed behind him. "You actually talking?" Eli ignored him, grabbed 2 wide wooden planks by the chicken coop, dragged them to the wagon, and laid them from the wagon to the porch steps. When he got back, Clara was watching him, hands still on her blanket. He didn't say anything, just reached out, one arm behind her back, the other under her knees. She didn't fight or help, but when he lifted her, he felt how light she was. She had soft curves against his chest, but she felt fragile, so he held her tighter. He carried her up the ramp, across the porch, and into the cabin. It was simple inside: a cot, a stove, a table, a few shelves, clean but worn. She saw a folded quilt by the fire, a rifle on the wall, a chip basin on a stand-alive, with just what he needed. He set her gently on the cot and stepped back. She fixed her blanket, sitting up straight. Her hands stayed near her chest, pulling the torn dress closer, not quite hiding it. He watched her a second, then went outside. By the time he came back, the wagon was gone, dust trailing down the hill. Eli stood in the yard, staring. Then he went to the barn, fed the horses, fixed the latch, and worked until the sun went low. He didn't talk or think about what was next inside. Clara sat alone on the cot, looking at the ceiling cracks and wooden walls. She heard him moving outside, quiet but steady. She breathed slow, like someone unsure if they're safe, but starting to think they might be. She didn't know why he said yes or what he wanted, but he didn't stare at her legs, didn't flinch, didn't touch her like others had. That meant something. The next morning was quiet over the hills, the kind of silence you only get far from towns. Sunlight slid across the cabin floor, dust glowing in the light. Eli was up early, moving without noise, feeding cows, checking the water pump, stacking wood before it got too hot. He thought by doing. Inside, Clara lay still, eyes open. She barely slept. The mattress was hard, but that wasn't it. It was the quiet, not the kind before a door slams or footsteps storm in, but a calm that stayed. No yelling, no creaky floors, no men peeking through windows, just wind through a cracked shutter and the house settling. She shifted, using her arms to sit up straighter. The blanket had slipped, showing the torn dress again. She tucked it in with a quick move. Her cheeks got warm, not from shame, but from being seen yesterday, really seen, not by her choice. She wasn't used to that kind of look, one that didn't want something. Eli didn't look at her with greed or pity, just like he noticed her, and that was enough. The door creaked. Eli walked in with a tin cup of water and a cracked plate with cornbread and beans. He set it on the table near her, not talking. She watched him. He didn't look at her. "I can feed myself," she said. He nodded and stepped back. She took a breath, braced one hand on the bed frame, and pulled the plate to her lap. The beans were cold, but she ate them. Eli sat by the stove, poured coffee from a pot on the coals. The room was quiet, except for spoons on tin and the floor creaking. "Why'd you take me?" she asked, voice low. He looked at her. "You said yes." "That's not a reason." It was enough. She stared, trying to figure him out, but his face was hard to read. Eyes calm, jaw set. He wasn't dodging her, but he wasn't chatty either. "You don't ask many questions, do you?" He shrugged. "Only when I need answers." Clara nodded to herself. That made more sense than anything she'd heard in years. She'd been passed around to relatives and caretakers since the accident, some mean, some careless, most just tired of her. When her dad left her here, she expected more of the same, maybe worse. She braced for shame or rejection. Instead, this guy built her a ramp. She looked around. "Where am I supposed to, go?" "There's a shed out back," Eli said. "Built a bench inside. I can help you get there." She frowned. "So you knew I'd stay?" He didn't answer right away. "I don't do charity. If someone's here, they help. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. But if you stay, you'll have a place. Not as a guest." Her eyes narrowed. "What's this, a trade? You feed me. I do what? Wash clothes from a chair? Sleep with you later?" Eli's face didn't change. "I didn't ask for that." She stared, waiting for some hint of a trick, but there was none, just calm. It spooked her more than cruelty would. "I don't know what to do here," she muttered. "You'll figure it out," he said, then walked outside. She heard the screen door creak and shut. Alone, her hands shook a little. She hadn't cried since before the accident. She wouldn't now, but she felt something new, maybe a chance. By mid-morning, he came back with planks and nails. She watched through the door as he measured part of the porch. He worked quietly, sweat under his hat, hammering nails with steady swings, kneeling slow because of his leg. She moved herself forward in the chair he'd pulled from the barn. It wasn't comfy, but it worked, and she could move it herself. She rolled to the porch edge and looked down. "You built that for me?" she asked. He didn't stop hammering. "Was gonna build one for the coop. You needed it more." Her throat got tight. "I can wash veggies, clean beans, if you bring them to me." He nodded without looking. "Good." Clara went back inside, hands shaking on the wheels. Eli finished the ramp and checked it. Her offer to help meant something, not because he needed it, but because she wasn't waiting to be saved. That night, they didn't talk much. She peeled potatoes, he salted pork, and they ate quietly. She asked if he'd always lived alone. "Not always," he said, and that was at dawn as the sky darkened and the oil lamp glowed. Eli sat by the window, cleaning his knife. Clara sat by the fire, hair down, eyes thoughtful. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in 2 years, no one expected her to vanish, and that mattered. The third morning came with a sharp wind and a gray sky hinting at cooler days. Eli was out before dawn, checking the east fence where coyotes had been sniffing. When he got back, Clara was at the wash basin, wiping the windowsill from her chair. The chair was sturdier now, with wider wheels for the uneven floor. He hadn't asked if she wanted it. She hadn't asked why he made it. She used it, and that was enough. Clara saw him in the doorway and sat up straighter. Her hair was tied back, the tear in her dress stitched with blue thread from a kid he'd left out. She hadn't mentioned it, but she used it. "Found a broom," she said, "swept by the fire. It's not much." Eli nodded, took off his hat, and hung it up. "It's enough." The silence wasn't weird. It was their way of talking. Short, simple, real. Clara looked at the cloth, then at him. "Why'd you fix the chair?" He leaned on the table. "You needed to move easier. You could have asked. You didn't have to." She studied his face, no smile, no coldness, just calm. Her eyes flicked to his leg, how it didn't fully straighten. "What happened to your leg?" He paused, then said, "Got shot in the knee at Gettysburg. Doctor said I'd lose it. Didn't, but it's never been the same." She thought about that. "You fought for the Union?" "Didn't care about sides. Signed up after they took my brother. After the war, went home. House burned. Wife and son inside. Didn't stay long." Her throat tightened. He said it so flat, like the pain was buried too deep to show. "I'm sorry," she said. He nodded. "You don't have to be." Later, Eli hitched up the wagon and said he'd be gone. For the afternoon supplies, flour, salt, maybe nails. She didn't ask to go. She knew getting her in the wagon would be tough, and he wasn't the type to let her be gawked at in town. After he left, Clara wheeled to the back window, watching dust swirl in the yard. The horizon looked endless. This place wasn't home yet, but it wasn't a cage either. She started sorting tinware, jars, socks, making order to feel steady. Her hand brushed a stack of cloth on the counter. She unfolded it. A soft cotton dress, dark green, a bit big. Someone else's. She set it down slow. His wife's? No photos, no keepsakes. Just this dress, hidden away. When Eli got back at dusk, he carried flour and salt, setting them by the stove. Clara didn't ask about town, but he said Mercer was at the store. She looked up. What did he say? Tried to laugh. Asked how you're doing. Sighed I'd regret it. Her jaw tightened. What did you say? Nothing. He thinks I'm a punishment. Eli stirred the kettle. He don't know much. That night, Clara wore the green dress. It was loose but fit okay, and the color made her look less pale. When she rolled into the kitchen, Eli glanced at her, then back to the fire. His shoulders shifted, like he felt something but stayed calm. Your wife's? She asked. He shook. His head. Her sister's. She stayed here after the fire, then left east. Clara nodded. I'll fix the waste if you don't mind me keeping it. It's yours. They ate quietly potatoes she peeled, Rabbit he snared. He washed. Dishes she dried. Before bed, as Eli added wood to the fire, Clara said, "You ever think about leaving?" He paused, log in hand. "Used to. Now there's someone here." She looked at him. The fire glowed on his face. He looked tired but alive. She didn't smile but didn't look away either. Morning came gray with mist, making the porch damp, and the horses antsy. Clara woke early, her upper body sore from new strength. She didn't complain, just adjusted her green dress, now tied with a belt from an old saddle strap, and rolled to the stove. She moved with purpose, hands sure, though she still expected someone to interrupt. But Eli never hovered or corrected. Her dad, he came in after sunrise, coat wet from fog, carrying eggs. Clara grabbed a pan before he could. He paused, watching, then set the bucket down. "Rain's coming," he said. She nodded. "Felt it in my arms last night. They get tight. You hurting?" "Not bad, just stiff." He poured coffee. She cracked eggs into the pan. Eli leaned on the doorframe. "Town will talk about you soon." She kept cooking. They always talk. "Not like this. You being here with me." She moved the pan. "Let them talk." After breakfast, Eli fixed the barn roof. Clara sorted supplies. Beans, corn, jars sharpening a knife, like her aunt used to. Rain hit hard that afternoon, loud on the tin roof. Clara watched from the door as Eli walked back, soaked, his limp worse in the mud. She'd laid a cloth on a chair and a towel on the table. He looked surprised. "I ain't helpless," she said. "Didn't say you were." She handed him the towel. Their fingers touched warm, steady. "I'll heat the stew," she said. He didn't stop her. They ate by the fire, rain pounding. The room smelled of smoke and meat. After, she folded towels, wiped the table, poured coffee. Eli said, "You always this stubborn?" She sipped her cup. "Had to be. My dad didn't like daughters who asked questions. After the accident, he acted like I was already dead, like I embarrassed him by breathing." Eli nodded. "He's a coward. He's a sheriff. Still a coward." Clara leaned forward. "You didn't ask about the day the horse threw me. Figured you'd tell me if it mattered. It wasn't just a fall. I was running from someone my dad didn't like. We met in secret. He found out, we fought, I ran. Horse bucked. My spine hit a rock." Eli didn't blink. "The guy you were meeting, he leave?" Her mouth tightened. "Never came to the hospital. Never wrote. Dad said that's what I get for picking weak men." Eli's jaw tightened. "He's wrong." She watched him. "You think I'm broken?" "No," he said fast. "Just tired like me." Her chest tightened. "Sometimes I don't know what I'm fighting for." "For yourself," Eli said. "That's enough." Later, as she got ready for bed, he stopped by the door. "I can build you a better bench for planting, if you want." She looked at him. "You think I'm staying? You haven't rolled away yet." She let out a breath. "Then yes, I want it." Without thinking, she reached for his hand, just a touch, to show she was there. Eli let her hold it. The rain cleared overnight, leaving slick mud and clean air. By sunrise, birds pecked at puddles. Clara sat by the window with a tin mug, tracing its rim. She wore the green dress, fitted now, hair pinned back to feel neat. Eli was outside, hammering fence stakes, steady as always. She'd learned his quiet routines, and they helped her breathe easier. By late morning, Eli came in, dirty and sweaty. "You been out yet?" She shook her head, waiting for the mud to dry. "Wheels don't like it." He nodded, dried his face, then said, "Built the bench past the coop." Her brow lifted. "That was fast. Didn't sleep much." She didn't ask why, just rolled outside. He followed. The sun warmed her dress as she gripped the wheels. Past the co-op, near a fence, was a low, sturdy bench, perfect for tools or baskets, with a half-built planting box beside it. She touched the smooth wood. "You did this last night?" He nodded. "Why?" "You said you wanted to stay. Figured you wanted to work." Her chest tightened. "We could plant herbs here. Onions in spring." Eli crouched, checking the box. "We'll clear this side tomorrow." She smiled faintly. "Been a long time since anyone let me build something. Now you can." They stayed outside most of the day. Clara practiced moving her chair on rough ground. Eli hauled planks, letting her pick what to keep. When she tipped slightly, he steadied her fast, one hand on the chair, one on her back. "I've got it," she said. "I know," he said, but waited until she was steady. That evening, they ate slowly. Clara asked about the ridge east of the ranch. He said it led to a creek 2 miles out. "Ever fish?" he asked. "Used to with my cousin before the accident." "We'll go sometime," he said, like it was decided. After eating, she rolled to the fire. Eli fixed a leather strap. "Why'd you leave town for good?" she asked. He didn't look up. After the fire, nothing was left. People stared. Meant well, but they stared. She nodded. "I know that stare. You think folks will come looking for me?" she asked. He thought about it. Maybe, but not yet. Mercer's pride won't let him admit he gave you up, unless he's drunk or angry. He's both most nights. Eli didn't reply. Clara leaned forward. "You don't ask what it was like in that house. Figured you'd say if you needed to." She took a breath. "He kept me upstairs most days. Didn't want people seeing me in a chair. Said it made him look weak. Once told me to hide my arms with a shawl. Said I looked sick. One night, drunk, he said he wished I died when I fell." Eli's jaw tightened. "Said I ruined his name," she added. He looked at her. "That man doesn't know you." Her voice softened. "I wondered if anyone would." "I do," Eli said. Steady dot the room stilled. The fire cracked. She reached for her mug, but stopped. Hands flat on her lap. "Can you help me with something?" "What?" "I want to sit beside you, on the floor, not in this chair." He paused, then knelt, slid one arm under her knees, one behind her shoulders. She held his neck for balance as he lowered her onto a blanket by the fire. She leaned into him slightly, her side against his. "I don't want to be seen as broken anymore," she whispered. "You're not," he said. Her face softened. The firelight. He brushed her hair back, then kissed her firm, warm, real. She kissed him back. They sat side by side, letting the fire's heat and each other do the talking. The next morning, the cabin felt different, not silent with doubt, but settled. Eli woke early, sleeping on the floor near the fire. Clara was on the cot, where he'd carried her after she fell asleep. Her weight felt right in his arms, natural. Now, watching her sleep, face turned to the window, he lingered longer than usual, then stepped outside. Clara woke to wood smoke and bacon. The cabin was warm, stove going. She fixed her dress, which had slipped off her shoulder, and checked. The mirror. Her hair was messy, eyes sleepy, but her face looked less guarded. Sure. When Eli came in, she was at the table. "Sleep okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Better than most nights. Back wasn't as tight. You said you used to sew." "Still do. Found canvas in the barn. Could you make saddle covers?" "Mine's tearing." "I can do that." They ate in a new kind of quiet, comfortable. Clara worked on canvas, marking patterns with chalk. Eli carved. A storm was coming, but for now, it held off. She asked, "You said your wife died in the fire. Did you talk to her folks after?" He paused, splitting kindling. "Her brother came once, blamed me. I was in Tucson buying wire. Fire started. From the hearth, chimney was cracked. No one knew." Clara's hands lowered. "Your son was barely 2. They were asleep." She didn't say more, just saw the weight in his shoulders. "After that, I didn't talk to anyone for a year," he said. "Just worked. Fixed the stuff that didn't need fixing. Sat at an empty table. Now I talk to you." She smiled faintly, touched his hand. He let her. That afternoon, a rider came. Clara saw him through the window, a young deputy, maybe 20, on a lean horse. Eli stepped out. "You Decker?" the deputy asked. Eli nodded. "Sheriff Mercer says he wants the girl back by week's end. Says he was generous, but it's time she comes home." Eli's eyes stayed steady. "She's not going back. She's a grown woman." The deputy shifted. "Just passing the message." "You did." The deputy rode off. Eli came inside. Clara sat stiffly. "So he wants me back. He doesn't get a say. I figured he'd come." Eli looked at her. "You scared?" "Not of him. I'm scared of being taken from this, from you." "You're not going anywhere. She looked closely. You believe that? Yes. That night, she sat closer by the fire, shoulder against his, hand near his knee. He said softly, I haven't been with a woman since before the fire. I haven't been with a man since before the fall. Her hand moved to his chest, slow. Do you want me? Yes, he said. Sure. Then touch me. He kissed. Her deeper, no hesitation, hands cupping her face. She pulled him close, arms over his shoulders, anchoring herself. His lips moved to her neck, fingers tracing her dress's torn edge. Her desire wasn't limited by her body. He lifted her too. The cot, lamp flickering. They undressed slowly, every move clear. His touch was careful, hers fearless. They stayed together late, wrapped in silence and breath. No promises needed, just staying. The next morning was still, smelling of cedar and something new. Eli woke first, sitting on the cot's edge, watching Clara sleep, hair loose, breathing, steady. Her dress was folded neatly. Quiet felt full now. He dressed and went outside. The sky was cloudy but clear. Sparrows chirped by the corral. Clara woke to the screen door shutting. She stretched, adjusted the blanket, and dressed, brushing her hair with an old brush. In the mirror, her eyes were soft, rooted. Eli came in. Coffee's hot. She nodded. I'll bring the cups. They moved together, steady. Over breakfast, they didn't talk about the night. Clara worked in the garden, digging slowly. Eli sawed wood for a gate. The garden was just dirt and markers, but it was hers. At midday, he brought water, sat beside her. He'll come himself next time, he said. She knew who. I'm not going with him. I know. But if he's angry, he won't come alone. You'd fight him. I'd protect what's mine. She looked at him. Is that what I am? If you want to be? She rested her hand on his dock by dusk. Clouds thickened, wind rising. Eli secured the barn, while Clara dried wash. She saw two riders approaching slowly. Eli, she called, voice low. He came with his rifle. It was Sheriff Mercer and a deputy. Mercer stopped 20 paces away. Thought I'd find you here, he called. Eli stood firm. You were told. Mercer got off his horse. That's my daughter. I didn't say you could keep her. She's not property, Eli said. She's under my name, my roof. Not anymore. Clara wheeled forward, beside Eli. You made that clear when you left me here, like a sack of wheat. Mercer's face hardened. I was giving you a chance. No, you were getting rid of me because you didn't know how to deal with me. He stepped closer. You're confused. This man's using you. Eli didn't move. I've never used her. I listened. I stayed. Mercer looked at Clara. You're coming home. No, you'll regret this. I've lived through worse. The deputy shifted, uneasy. Mercer's face cracked, not soft, but like he knew he'd lost. Stay here and rot with him, he spat, turning to his horse. I never needed saving, Clara said. Just someone who wouldn't leave. They rode off. The dust settled. Eli turned to her. You okay? She nodded. Better than ever. He crouched, touched her hair. He won't be back. I know. This is home now. She peeled potatoes. He salted later that week. They planted onions in soft soil. Clara worked, sleeves up, sweat on her face. Eli moved beside her, steady. She ran the ranch's books now, keeping numbers tidy. Eli trusted her with every penny. In town, people whispered, but no one dared ride out. That summer, Clara made a sign, Decker Ranch, a name she chose. She wasn't Clara Mercer anymore. She was Clara Decker. In fall, she rested her hand on her stomach. Eli lay beside her. I think I might be, she whispered. I'm late, been sick twice. His eyes filled with something deep. You sure? Not yet, but I think so. He kissed her forehead, her lips. You're not broken, he said. No, she replied, hand on his. I never was. They stayed like the two people not chasing miracles. Just a place to stay and someone to stay with. They found both. The wind moved soft across the hills, and the land held them steady. Nothing was being taken this time. They were keeping it. The end.